welcome. I guess we should start by saying hello to everybody. So, okay, well, hold on. Everything is not working today. There we go. There we go. We got at least something working. Hello, Mansum. First. Hello, welcome. Majestic Potato, hello. Hacker, welcome. Not the Batfoot, hello. Majestic Potato. Where a fellow workman's comp claim? Last stream fried my computer. Last stream? I don't know. Last stream also fried my computer. So getting everything actually working for today did not want to happen. It was probably the power outage though. The power outage did not do well. Well, hello. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone's having a wonderful week. What day is it? It's Wednesday. So I'm in the Houston area, doxed. What? Everyone knows my power went out last stream because it cut out like in the middle of a sentence. This is not new. You can't tell where I live from when my power went out. Texas Grid has Calico reliability. I don't think it's that good. I don't think the Texas Grid is as reliable as the Calico. Yeah, so today on stream we we only have 3 guns on stream. I need something. I feel like we need something small to fill in space somewhere. Perfect. How is the Automag 2 for reliability? It has never malfunctioned once. I'm gonna be completely honest. I've shot like 25 rounds through it. Like 1 small box of ammo. So it's fine. Yeah. I've not shot it a lot. So today on the table, I started introducing the guns and I got distracted. We have the RDB The Calico. Automag 2. And the Altor, which I just put there because 3 didn't seem like enough guns. And I did anyone get any, order anything cool for the Memorial Day sales? Because clearly that's what a Memorial Day is about, is the sales. Replace with Heiser. Replace the Altor with the Heiser. But the Altor is already here. Other thing that can dox you that people don't think of is when Stormfront hits and when severe weather warnings are issued. I feel like, yeah, sometimes, but also in the Great Plains of the United States, there'll be fronts that go from like a third of the way up from the southern border of Texas all the way up and all the way through Oklahoma. Like weather fronts in the plains are huge. See, Potato ordered a new computer / computer repair. Rip. Rip. Rest in peace, computer. Hacker bought magazines. Very nice. I may have bought some stuff. Just a little bit. I can't tell you, obviously, until it gets here. And then some of it you may not know about for a while. At least one of the things, it's not a super exciting thing, but I could show. Was planning to buy some guns / accessories until that expense occurred. Computer repair. Hopefully it wasn't anything super expensive. Hopefully it's just like power supply or something. You don't have to replace your graphics card. Fried hard drive. Oof. Oof. Is any of the hard drive going to be recoverable? Hard drives themselves aren't too expensive. The data on them is a little hard to put a value on, though. Boom. Windows noises. Oh, you guys couldn't hear that. There was Windows noises. South African polymer Galil mags. Orlite Galil mags and HK Pro mag. And Metgar Glock mags. Nice. Gotta get those polymer Galil mags for the CR21 build, I'm sure. Of course, I'm sure that's what you're doing. Not counting Glock mags. Are they the new metal the new metal Glock mags. I have been meaning to pick a couple of those up just to have them, try them out. Yes, metal Glock mags to try in platypus. Platypus is a weird gun. I kind of want one. If I get a platypus, it would have to be. It would have to be. I don't know. Weird colors. Because for those who don't know, you can get your platypus in all kinds of colors. And it's beautiful. Not that one. My designs, I don't have any. Yeah, chat, you can get your very own Perry the Platypus. Hacker. Mine is black, but I think I need to get an orange thread protector. To give it a duck bill, you should get the beaver tail colored. I don't know what color is a platypus's tail. A platypus tail might be black. That might have been stupid. Platypus. Oh no, it's a platypus is all brown. They're weird looking creatures. Get the platypus and color it like this. Just brown. A little bit lighter brown on the top. Do you think it could evolve to shoot guns, a platypus? It doesn't even have fingers. It's got flippers. How's it going to pull a trigger? It needs one of those winter trigger guards that can fold down so it can just stick its whole flipper in the trigger guard. It will evolve fingers. Is that how that works? It's just gonna evolve fingers? Or maybe weird thumb trigger AR? Oh, that is true. I always forget those exist. They're very strange. Has anyone actually shot one of the thumb trigger ARs? Because I've handled them a bit. Just when I see them at gun stores, I'm like, hey, can I hold that? Can I hold that? And it doesn't seem like they'd be terrible. Evolve fingers on its back. Gross. No one wants fingers on their back. Like weird little phalanges. Give it a couple hundred years and it'll evolve an extra gun arm. A whole extra arm just for using a gun. I think that's a reasonable. That's a reasonable evolution. Laylo, hello, welcome. All right, chat. I'm gonna be honest, I don't have a ton to talk about today. Like planned. I do have a couple things though. Got a couple things to talk about. Mao, hello, welcome. First thing to talk about, PSA. PSA has released a new version of the Stison. They hear about the Texas bill? Yes. I guess we could talk about that too, if you guys want. I don't know how many of you guys are affected by a Texas bill. Pet Keltec? You can pet Keltec. Yeah, so Texas Banime? What is Texas Banime? What does that even, what does that mean? What is Banime? Obligatory hyzer. Oh my goodness. This is why I can't ever let it stray very far away. It gets to be up there in the corner. Texas decriminalized SBRs. They did. At the state level, specifically. But before we get to that, it's not quite an SBR, but if it was an SBR, it'd be much cooler. PSA has released a new version of the Stison. And I'm going to be honest, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. This is way better. This is way better than that clone that they made. Matador Stison still better looking? Maybe. Okay, yes, definitely. But compared to the regular PSA Stison, this is way better. Because this one isn't trying too hard to work up here, because this front end is gross. Is that short receiver? Yeah, so it's the standard AKV receiver. So it's got the Ventores. That's the right Russian name, right? The Ventores length receiver. So they're the same. They just changed the furniture on the front end. That's literally all that's changed. And I like this a lot better. I like the fine print that says they can't guarantee it will work on this. Important, the Stison AKV is designed to function with the newer style Stison magazine feed lips. Please refer to the image above for references. The feed ramps circled in green are compatible. We cannot guarantee proper function with the mag feed ramp style circle in red. What? No, there's no circles on this. What? What circles? Just you dislike the muzzle device. Luckily, muzzle devices are really easy to switch out, especially since I'm pretty sure it's 1/2 by 28. Yeah, 1/2 28. 1/2 28 muzzle device, you can switch that out. The Dawn. Does anyone know an easy way to find production year of firearms, but only in 357 mag and 357 SIG? My son was born in 07 at 357, trying to find something made in his birth year for his first handgun. The way to do that is to usually look it up by a serial number, or some guns will have a date code printed on there somewhere. So if you're looking for like a 357, you might be able to go find like a Colt Python like big chart that says like what serial number ranges or which years, and go by that. But other than that, probably your best bet is to just start looking at used 357s and just look up the serial numbers. They weren't making it 07? They probably were not, now that I'm thinking about it. But you probably can find similar lists for other manufacturers as well, like Smith & Wesson. Smith & Wesson, Ruger. Those will probably be your easiest ones to find documentation on for manufacture date. Get them Deagle in 357, made in 2007. That probably will be a little more difficult, simply because there's not as many of them on the market. All right, chat. Choose your Stizen. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. There's one more. Hold on, I forgot to pull up one. Where is it? Where is it? There we go. There we go, chat. Now we can choose your Stizen. Get the LM Ironworks. Actual Stizen clone. That's actually well done, and as far as I can tell, the most clone correct. Including the correct receiver. With the cutout for the mag and the folding stock trunnion. Or the PSA one, that's like the Walmart brand. The Walmart brand Bison, the Stizen. Is it SBR? This one is not. I don't know if they will make it for you as an SBR, but you can make an SBR yourself. And then you've got the Stizen, great value Bison, just on a standard AKV receiver, so it doesn't quite look right, and the handguard looks weird, and it has a brace. But it does also cost like a third the price. It doesn't have the price in there because it's out of stock, which is terrible, and I hate that. But it's like a third the price. Or you can get the tactical great value Bison. which is not as bad as this one, because it's not trying as hard to be a bison. You choose none. There's still one more option though, chat. There's still one more option. Or you can get the Matador Arms one, which you can get this one as a factory SBR if you choose. Make poll. Oh, you're gonna actually make me make a poll. Let's see. So if we have LM Ironworks, clone. We've got Stuyzen, Tactical Stuyzen, or the Matador Stuyzen. This is the only one that I know for sure. You can get it as an SBR from factory. This one you might be able to, the LM Ironworks, but I am not sure. But if you're looking for an actual bison, this one right here, it definitely is the most clone correct. This one's the most budget friendly. This one and this one are about the same price. Obviously, this one does not come with the suppressor and the optic. Give Knack 9 with drum. Knack 9 with drum, but that's not a helical magazine. The Dawn. I'll give them another year before I buy anything to see where the short bill goes. Maybe. I'm gonna be honest, I'm still pushing for the short bill. Still pushing for it pretty hard. But I would be very surprised for a short to go through. It's more reliable. A drum more reliable? A well-built helical magazine is reliable. From what I've heard, the stink helical mags are pretty reliable. They're still pretty new. And so there's not a whole lot of information out there on them. But from what I've heard, they're pretty good. I guess I didn't need to like switch pages for that. There's one right here. Man, y'all are a bunch of PSA haters. Bunch of PSA haters going Matador and LM Ironworks. There's the poll. It's got like a few seconds left if you want to vote in it. You gotta hurry. You gotta hurry and vote in the poll. No one wants this because it's weird. This is a little more acceptable. But this Tactical Stuyzen is my number 2. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. For me, it'd be between these two. Like, if I want an actual bison, right? I'm not going to go for this one or this one. Because this one is trying to be a clone. But it does it really badly. And so I just go this one. And this one is both not a clone and not very good at being tactical. And so I'd go with that one. Also, Matador will do a factory SBR for you, which is pretty nice. Matador wins. This does look like Helldiver's gun. This looks like the Helldiver's Bison, for sure. I'm still waiting for Matador to release their bullpup. It's taking them forever. And I need it. Until SBR is removed from NFA, doesn't matter to me. SBRs are still nicer than braced pistols. I don't like braced pistols. Braced pistols are dumb. Not a fan. They are, but I won't own one. You won't own an SBR? Why not? Why not? I do like whatever this like SD handguard extension is that they sell. It covers up all your rails, except the top one, obviously, but it looks kind of cool. They aren't giving the ATF $200 nicer. The ATF is awful. I hate them. They're bad. They're good at nothing, and they make my life worse. Which is just awful. I don't like it. It's terrible. It's bad. I'm looking on Matador's website for that SD handguard extension that they have on this one picture. They've got this handguard extension, but I can't find it on their website. What if I wanted to order it? I can't, because it's not here. I wonder if that's an old product that they don't sell anymore. That'd be sad. That'd be very sad. I wanted that for when they finally release their bullpup. I was gonna put that like this handguard extension on the bullpup and put a suppressor under it, and it was gonna look cool. Is this it? Is that it? It doesn't look long enough. I mean, it's kind of correct, but this one looks longer. Maybe that's it. But it looks too short. Is there another one? Is there a different length one? Wait, that's not... That that didn't change that didn't change the length of the handguard. That just changed the length of the faux presser coming out of it. The handguard's the same length. It's just got a longer tube inside of it. The faux presser is just a different length. The handguard is the same length. This handguard is longer. Look again, it's longer. Oh, no, you're right. You're right. The upper itself is longer. Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Sorry. I'm stupid. You're right. I was just looking here. I'm like, here's the front of the upper, and here's the front of the thing. I'm like, that's the same length. Wait, the whole upper is longer. So yeah, it's this one. You're correct. You're correct. KM3. How does it attach? Because if it requires this tube to attach, also the margins on this website are really bad. I don't like it. If it requires this tube to attach, you can't put a suppressor on it. See, no modification to gun. That's good. Adds 2 inches of length. So I assume that's the length there, not the length out to here. Clears up to 1.65 inch cans and muzzle devices. Okay, so I guess you can just kind of stick whatever you want in there. Looks like it mounts M-LOK. There's not very many pictures of it. MAT9 not included. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that the MAT9 is not included for $75. That's... wow. Do people really pay $75 and expect it to come with a whole gun? Oh, there it is. M-LOK hardware. Genuine Magpul M-LOK hardware. Included for installation. Two-inch long minimum muzzle device, flash can, blast shield, suppressor, etc. required for safe use. Okay, so they just have this big old flash can on here, just to show that you have to have something there. Got it. .65-inch cans. You definitely would need to get it as close to that number as you possibly could. And a 1.6-inch diameter can. 0.05 inches of clearance. Probably should go to 1.5, just, you know, to be safe. Is it, ooh, it may also depend, hold on. It may also depend on how the bullpup rails are. If that is something that will still fit, actually. Where's a picture of their bullpup? I know they post them every now and then just to spite me that they have them and they can take pictures of them, but they're not selling them. And so there it is. On their picture, they have, it looks like the standard upper with their rail extension on it. Ooh, we got zoomed in. So with rail extension, which I guess if it's got the rail extension, then it's got some clearance right here above the trigger guard. So maybe that thing will still fit under there. I don't know. They haven't released it yet, so we have no answers. We just have to wait. We gotta wait for them to actually release product. One day they will release product that I need. Until then, I just have to not have it. All right, we have. Oh, I guess, hold on. There was the Texas SBR bill. Let's see, bill text. Do we want to just read the whole bill? No. Huh? It's not very long. It's not a very long bill, actually. It's like, no, we don't want to read it. That sounds terrible. And it might be. It's a pretty short bill, honestly. So this new Texas bill to decriminalize short barrel firearms. A bill to be entitled an act relating to the prohibition of short-barreled firearms. Be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Texas. Section 1. Sections 46.05a and d Penal Code are amended to read as follows. A. A person commits an offense if the person intentionally or knowingly possesses, manufactures, transports, repairs, or sells 1. Any of the following items, unless the item is registered in the National Firearms Registration and Transfer Record maintained by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or otherwise not subject to that regulation requirement, or unless the item is classified as curio or relic by the United States Department of Justice. I'm going to be honest, I had never read this paragraph before. And after reading that paragraph, making this change is entirely a publicity stunt. This doesn't do anything at all. Unless the item is registered in the NFA, registered in the National Firearms Registration and Transfer Record, or otherwise not subject to that registration requirement. If it's not subject to that registration requirement, then it has literally the same effect of not being there. This change is a publicity stunt. This doesn't do anything at all. Because if they remove the registration requirement, then that still satisfies this. Yeah, this doesn't mean anything at all. I guess it takes out one line of the Texas Penal Code. That okay. Good job, Texas. Way to clarify that, I suppose. I'm gonna be honest, this change doesn't do anything. Like, practically, legally, nothing happens with this change. It doesn't do anything. What it does do, though, because it doesn't do anything practically for the law, what it does do is politicians can point to it to be like, hey, look, this is another state that this is completely decriminalized. Why we got this federal stuff going on? That's what this is good for. But actually, in terms of like Texas law and things actually being illegal, literally nothing happens. Tennessee did the same thing a couple of years ago, but I can't go to a gun store and buy SBR without NFA paperwork. That's because federally you're still required to. Even though I don't think you should be. Like, regardless of NFA or not. Like, the NFA is an interstate commerce tax. Like that's how it was passed. That's why it exists, is as an interstate commerce tax. And so if there is an NFA item that is completely built within a state, using materials from in the state, and never leaves the state, then it's not interstate commerce and should not be affected by the NFA. And Texas did, in fact, make that exact argument with the made in Texas suppressors stuff, which, as far as I know, is still being held up in courts for eternity, because that's how the courts work sometimes. Yeah, this is a publicity stunt, so that they can be like, hey, look, we did something. Give us a nice pat on the back. This doesn't actually change anything. Because if short barrel firearms are removed from the NFA, then they are not subject to that registration. And so it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, Wickard v. Filburn. I have never heard of that case in my life. Hold on. AI. Summarize. AI, tell me what this is. In a unanimous decision, Supreme Court held that Congress could regulate Filburn's wheat production. Congress reasoned that even wheat grown for personal use could impact national market by reducing demand for purchased wheat, thus affecting interstate commerce. Wow, that is the weakest argument I've ever heard in my life. Key takeaway: Wickard v. Filburn established that even small private activities can be regulated by federal government if they collectively influence the national economy. Does that mean that, like, theoretically, right? does that mean that if too many people started having little backyard gardens and grocery stores lobbied the government, that the government could step in and have people stop that gardening nonsense because it's affecting commerce? I love the government. Oh God, it's a good government. It's the basis for the majority of the Fed's power to affect your life in the current world. 1942. More like 1984. That one definitely needs a new ruling, for sure. Unanimous. How is that unanimous? That's frustrating. Unfortunately, that's not going to be overturned. Because once the government has a power, it's near impossible to get them to give up said power. Every time I learn something new about the government, it does not make me like the government more. Well, and since all of our attitudes are now spoiled because we talked about the government, how about something less awful? FALs. Titanium FALs. Because the real problem with your FAL is that it's not heavy enough. King Panzer, hello, welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm
Hi.
Ian McCollum. Now we have a very cool rifle to take a look at today, although it probably doesn't look like a whole lot from back there. This was put together by DS Arms, and they actually
From back here,
had
it
one
looks
of
like a
these
different shade
at
of
their
gray.
booth at SHOT Show 2025 this year. But I don't think very many people actually looked at it closely because it doesn't really look like a lot. You don't recognize until you pick it up that this is a 7.5 pound FAL. That's 3.4 kilos for those of you metric folks. That's stupidly light for a FAL. You pick this up and it feels like a lightweight AR, not a full power 7.62 NATO battle rifle. Now, I don't know whether to call this
tungsten. Tungsten is the heavy one, not titanium. I got my streamer brain I had a moment. I was like, tungsten FAL. Yes. Nope, titanium. Titanium FAL. Which is heavier? 100 pounds of FALs or 100 pounds of AR-10s? Clearly 100 pounds of FALs is heavier. Because the weight balance is more forward, and so it's going to feel heavier.
Custom gun or a very limited production run or a technology demonstrator, because it's kind of a little bit of all three of those. What happened was DSA, and I don't know the details on the backstory here, but DSA got their hands on...
Okay, so the titanium FAL, probably very cool. But where's the tungsten FAL? Because I want my FAL to be heavier.
Billet titanium, specifically TI 6AL4V, or titanium aluminum vanadium alloy. It's TI64 is sort of the common name for the alloy. It's a common titanium alloy, as much as titanium is common in anything. And they got enough billets of it to make a dozen upper receivers for FALs, as well as a handful.
A dozen? It's not a lot. Read top comment. Oh, holy wall of text. My dad was a CNC engineer for 40 plus years. He worked on everything from nuclear reactor parts to Formula One racing car parts. I worked one summer in 96 at the place he worked, mainly just helping back up all his programs to disks and organize stuff, as well as operating the machines. It's mind-blowing stuff. He can make anything you gave him. For instance, when I was 13, I had an Airsoft Beretta 92F, and part of the plastic air cylinder broke inside. Dad took the gun apart, found a broken piece, and took it to work and returned with aluminum replacement. Cool story. Meant second comment. It was top when I watched the video. Wonder if they do a tungsten FAL. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Tungsten FALO. Upvote my own comment. Maximum weight. Maximum weight.
Full of other small parts. And I think they just thought this would be kind of a cool thing, not really recognizing just how much work would go into it. Because as it turns out, they ended up making 9 semi-auto rifles, 1 full-auto post-sample rifle, and 2 scrap pieces of trash that they had to throw away. The machining requirements for titanium are way in excess of steel or aluminum.
I wonder how much these cost. Besides all the money.
They basically had to have someone watching the machine the entire time it was running to, like, at a moment's notice, shut down the machine in case one of the cutting tools chipped or anything went wrong. In fact, they did, as I said, end up scrapping 2 of these things in the manufacturing process. Just like to try and avoid any scrap, they actually made full runs of aluminum parts just to prove the tooling and the CNC programming. Like, they'd set everything up, put in aluminum in lieu of titanium, machine it all the way through to make sure everything worked well, then set it up again with the titanium billet, and still have their best machinist there just watching the thing in case anything went wrong. Because titanium is really hard. This was really hard on their cutting tools. At any rate, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Once you have a titanium receiver, well, what do you do with it? Obviously, you want to take advantage of its together. Weight. Titanium is about 56% the weight of steel, so this titanium upper receiver is about 10 ounces lighter than a standard steel upper receiver. That's 5/8 of a pound, that's half a kilo. That's a significant amount of weight, and it's what really, that's a big part of what allows this thing to be a stupidly lightweight FAL. Now, they did a couple of other parts as well. On this particular one, the flash hider is also titanium. And then they experimented with titanium gas blocks. That didn't really go so well. The titanium heats up in the gas block faster than steel because titanium is a lot less dense than steel, hence
that makes sense.
It's lighter weight.
That makes sense.
It doesn't have as much heat capacity. So the gas blocks heated up. They decided that wasn't a great thing to do. And they ended up sticking with basically just flash hiders and receivers, and then building a lightweight style of FAL. So it has a 16-inch barrel. It has a number of other parts on here. Well, it has some aluminum parts. The top cover is aluminum. The trigger frame assembly here is aluminum. The charging handle is aluminum. The charging handle bar is aluminum. The handle itself is plastic. A lot of things to reduce weight there, and they end up with this remarkably handy lightweight gun. Let me show you it up close, and then we'll take it out to the range.
I want to know what it feels like to hold.
Let me put this in a little bit of perspective real quick for those of you guys who aren't total FAL nerds. This is a totally generic, typical, standard military pattern FAL. It has a full 21-inch barrel, all the regular parts. This is actually one of the Belgian Gendarmerie clone guns, which DSA also made from an FN parts kit that was released a couple years ago. This thing weighs 9 pounds, 14 ounces. That's without a magazine. That is like just
standard battle rifle weight
kilograms. This thing, the titanium one, weighs in at 7 pounds, 7 ounces. That's 3.39 kilograms, again, without a magazine. That's a huge difference. Like, that's over 2 pounds difference. It's over a kilo different, and 1 kilogram may not sound like a lot, but
Put the
the
polymer
difference in
mag in
handling
there.
between these two is
Polymer mag's
really
lightweight.
shocking. All right, we've got DS Arms markings here on the right side of the receiver. On the left side, we have their model designation. This is still just an SA58.
DSA titanium,
FAL,
number
760 by
8.
51 millimeter. And the serial number has a T prefix, and this is number 8 of the titanium ones that they did. So a few of the lightweight features. The charging handle, like I said, aluminum and plastic. They removed the carry handle entirely, save a little bit of weight there. It's got standard handguards. It's got a standard profile barrel, although it is a 16-inch barrel, so shorter than the original military standards, although there were military contracts for 16-inch FALs, both fixed and folding stock. They left the sling swivels on. You could save a few grams by taking those off.
Is the folding stock heavier than the fixed stock?
Is also made of titanium. Now, titanium does spark,
because they have the fixed stock on there.
It'll be interesting to see if this looks any different at the range during the day and possibly at night, although I'm not really concerned about it at night. They went with a fixed stock because that's actually substantially lighter than the folding stock. This one's pretty beat up, but if you look at the folding stock,
I guess the folding stock is just
it's all metal instead of essentially foam-filled plastic like the fixed stock. So a folder seems like
I was like, isn't this lighter? Look, it's got air in the middle. But it's all metal, so never mind. I'm a little stupid.
Obvious choice on a short, light gun. In this case, it would have added a significant amount of weight to the thing. One of the other things that I really like that they did here is they chose to use a Dutch pattern rear sight. So this has a pair of protective wings and a fixed aperture inside that is, I believe, set for a 250 meter zero. This is a style of sight that would later be used on paratrooper folding stock guns, but it was originally developed for the standard pattern of Dutch FAL. It is windage zeroable. You just move the whole rear sight assembly.
Why are they trying to save weight by like not having as much stuff in this rear sight? Does that matter? Panzer. See you later. Tired. Had 1 to 2 hours of sleep. That's not enough sleep. Get more sleep than that. Even I got more sleep. If I get more sleep than you, that's not good. So get sleep.
Left to right. It just doesn't have the range adjustment options of the more typical normal FAL rear sight that we're used to. And there's actually a little bit less metal, so it's a little bit lighter. The lower frame here is aluminum, lower receiver you might call it. The top cover is also stamped aluminum instead of steel. You save a little bit of weight there. The guys at DSA actually kind of ran through and did a study on where they could save weight with every individual component part of the FAL. And
this feels like they've sunk a lot of money into a project that's not going to do anything ever. Now, I could be wrong about the project not doing anything ever, but this sounds like it was super expensive. And they made like 8 guns.
The receiver is obviously the single biggest area, but you could actually get almost as much weight savings from like 6 or 8 other parts as you can from the receiver itself. Things like this screw that holds the upper and lower together. The buttstock screw is actually a surprisingly heavy part made out of steel. Things like that, the gas block, of course, which they did experiment with. Parts like that, if all made out of titanium, could net you another like close to 3/4 of a pound of weight reduction. However, it just didn't end up being worth the effort for DSA. It sounds like having done
this sounds
10
so
of these
expensive.
Guns, 9 semis and a full auto, they're done with them. They have no interest in doing it again because the amount of work that it took and the distraction from other projects they were trying to do just really isn't worth it for anything short of a truly ludicrous price on the guns. All right, I'm sure the question at this point is, that's cool that it's lightweight and all, but How much does it suck to shoot? How much recoil are you getting through this thing?
That's a very good question.
That would be mitigated by the extra 2 pounds or more in a regular FAL. So let's take this out to the range and let's find out. All right, first shots using an original FN aluminum magazine.
Looks like it's got a decent amount of recoil, but not an unpleasant amount.
That's zeroed. And you know what? Well, the concussion is beating the crap out of poor Jordan with the camera.
It's not the concussion.
Are you getting hit by brass?
Right in the face.
All right. Well, I was going to say the recoil's actually not bad at all. I was concerned about whether this would be,
it just looks like 308
really super
recoil.
heavy because the gun's so much lighter than a normal FAL. It really isn't. You want to change angle a little bit so you don't get hit right in the face?
I'm going to go to this side.
I'll say that if you're getting hit in the face where you were standing, that's a primo perfect ejection pattern.
It does look cool. Like the different shades of gray and black. Kind of like it. Kind of like it.
It's definitely got, some spunk to it, but that's not at all bad to shoot. To be completely sure about this, to be fair with it, I have brought a second FAL with me. That Belgian Gendarmerie pattern gun. Well, I figured let's bring it out as a side-by-side comparison.
Safety. That one looks like it recoils less.
It's really not that much different. Recoil is about a whole lot more than just the weight of the gun. It's about the velocity of the bolt and bolt carrier, the velocity of the reciprocating parts as they move, how fast they're going when they impact the back.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna wager that this ludicrously expensive titanium FAL has a much more finely tuned system than the parts kit FAL. Just if I was gonna guess.
End of the action. If the gun is sprung well and has a proper locking dynamic, you can have a fairly light gun and not have a tremendous amount of felt recoil.
The titanium one does.
This is more.
This one looks like it has a little bit more like vertical recoil, at least.
Than the full pattern, full standard regular FAL, but it's not like it's bad. It's a, I don't know, 10 or 20% increase in kick, which I would happily take for the light handling of this thing.
I want to know how much these would cost, theoretically. If they actually produce these, how much would they cost?
I can almost hit that Minimo head and center from close to 100 yards here. That's cool. All right, I am indeed very excited about this. There is definitely more recoil to it, but not a bad amount of recoil. Something that and I think most people would probably happily accept in trade for cutting 2 pounds off the weight of the gun. So big thanks to DSA for sending this over. Let's do some shooting with it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.
He never said how much they would cost if they were on the market. And I want to know. Hacker, DSA seems like a company that will write off money so that the owner gets neat, lightweight FAL. I think Ooh. You know what? There was a post I saw about someone who had Aves Engineering. Aves made a post. They have the cool one, the full auto titanium FAL. Aves has it. So, I think DSA wrote off a ton of money so that their friends could have a really cool FAL. Because Aves has the full auto titanium one. Which clearly I shouldn't have to explain why full auto is cooler than semi-auto. Because Machine Gun Go Burr isn't PSR sponsored by Aves? PSR full auto titanium FAL video when? I'm pretty sure he's sponsored by them. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. How Ian ended that last video definitely seems like he's probably going to be taking that FAL to some kind of competition or something at some point. Oh, that's neat. It's cool. Now just give me the tungsten. Now give me tungsten FAL. You showed that you could take 2 pounds off the weight. Now, add 2 pounds to the weight. Make it heavier. Put the wooden furniture on it. I'm pretty sure that's the heaviest one. Just solid chunks of wood. Oh, why am I yawning? Why am I yawning already? It's not even been an hour and a half into stream. I guess, well, I did start stream a little late. Started stream a little late. Been up for a while. We've got another video to watch though. We're doing easy content today. React Andy time. I think this is a good video though. I've not watched it. I think it's good. I've not watched it, so I hope it's good. But it's about the Hearing Protection Act. which I am watching carefully. Because having to pay $200 for an accessory that you can buy in other countries for like $50, and that's paying $200 on top of how much the thing costs. Not a fan of it. Royalty-free rock music.
Hey y'all, Knox here with the American Suppressor Association, and welcome to the
Hi,
May
Knox.
2025 Suppressor Policy Update. We are coming to you early this month because we have some of the biggest news in suppressor history. For the first time
It's
ever,
true.
legislation removing suppressors from the National
Well, biggest news in suppressor history since suppressors were added to the NFA.
Firearms Act has been passed by a chamber of Congress. More on that to come, but we've also got updates on litigation in Illinois, state-level legislation, and of course, wait times. So let's dive in. On May 22nd, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the One Big Beautiful Bill, including a provision that
Is that
removes suppressors from the National Firearms Act.
A week ago?
The removal of suppressors from the unconstitutional NFA tax scheme is long overdue and represents the biggest legislative victory for the Second Amendment community in my lifetime. It will benefit millions of law-abiding gun owners who simply want to protect their hearing while exercising their Second Amendment rights.
That's me. I'm part of those millions of Americans. You tinnitus? I already have it, and I don't want it to be worse. Please, please, politicians, care about your constituents' hearing.
Congressional Republicans are clearly keeping their promise to strengthen the Second Amendment and recognize the real need for these critical hearing.
Also, suppressors just look cool. I'm gonna be honest. Suppressors just look cool. They're neat. I like them.
Hearing safety devices. Special thanks to Speaker Johnson, Majority Leader Scalise, Majority Whip Emmer, Representative Ben Klein, and Representative Andrew Clyde for prioritizing the inclusion of Section 2 of the Hearing Protection Act in the House's reconciliation package. The day before its passage, the American Suppressor Association led a coalition of nearly 40 organizations, including medical professionals, Second Amendment advocacy organizations, and industry leaders in a letter to Congress urging them to include the full removal of suppressors from the National Firearms Act. Groups like the Academy of Doctors of Audiology and Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership joined ASA, the National Rifle Association.
That's a real Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership. That's a real group. That sounds made up. That sounds like a group that was made up so that somebody could like put a professional opinion.
Gun Owners of America, the Second Amendment Foundation, Safari Club International, National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers, Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, and the Firearms Regulatory Accountability Coalition, showcasing a massive united front on this issue. I want to take a step back for a second to highlight this point. I've been a professional Second Amendment lobbyist for 14 years, and in all my time, I have never seen the Second Amendment community come together like this. Our organizations, alongside the tens of thousands of people like you who called and emailed your elected officials, sent a crystal clear message to Congress. We will not stand for anything short of the full removal of suppressors from the NFA. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how we won this fight.
That is true. I have never seen gun people stop arguing about stupid things for long enough to actually get anything done until this. And it was incredible. Now, unfortunately, since it has passed the House, I have seen all the FUDs and bootlickers coming out of the woodworks being like, oh, you don't need them suppressors, or you can't afford $200. Maybe you can't afford a gun. But while I was in the House, it was an incredible united front of gun owners. and it was beautiful.
We stuck together and we pushed our common cause, and Congress listened. If our community can continue to stick together like this, frankly, the sky's the limit. Passage of this legislation is a crucial step towards expanding our Second Amendment rights in our country, but the fight isn't over yet. The one big, beautiful bill now moves to the U.S. Senate, where we are already working to ensure Section 2 stays in. To do so, it must pass what's known as the bird bath.
The bird bath?
The bird
The bird. I think it's the bird rule. I'm not a legal expert here. I'm pretty sure it's the bird rule, though. I don't think there's a bird bath. This is we're not at like your grandparents' house. They don't have a bird bath out in the backyard.
bird rule isn't named after something that flies or anything with wings. It's named after Senator Robert Byrd, the Democrat from West Virginia who served in the Senate for over 51 years.
That's a
A
long
stickler
time.
for the rules, he noticed that the Budget Act of 1974 allowed senators to sidestep filibusters through the budget reconciliation process, which only requires a simple majority in the Senate. By the mid-1980s, Senator Byrd convinced 96 of his colleagues to support an amendment known as the Byrd Rule that requires senators to show that any provisions included in the budget reconciliation process are linked to the budget. In other words, they must be fiscal in nature and deal with taxes. Any provision
I don't hate that. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of like that. I don't like giant omnibus bills. I don't like them. So if you can limit them to actually at least kind of stay on track as to what they're supposed to be, I think that's good. Luckily, the NFA is a tax scheme, so it should pass this rule.
that are contested as part of the process are sent to the Senate parliamentarian, to whom Senate offices make their case as to why their provisions are germane. After hearing arguments, the parliamentarian makes a decision. This process is known colloquially as the bird bath. To put it simply, the removal of suppressors from the NFA is Byrd Rule compliant because it changes the tax code and therefore impacts the budget. In other words, it is both fiscal in nature and deals with taxes. At the end of the day, the National Firearms Act is just a tax scheme.
It is.
In fact, the
It's true.
entirety of the NFA statute exists in the Internal Revenue Code. When it became law in 1934, Congress justified the NFA as a revenue-generating measure. The National Firearms Registration and Transfer Record exists solely as a registry of NFA taxes paid. Getting the theme? In 1937, the Supreme Court
Don't you love
even upheld the
taxes,
NFA
Chad?
as a revenue-generating
Don't you love taxes? I don't. Wait. Hold on. Does that... Wait. It has just occurred to me, chat. If you possess an NFA item that's not registered, that's just tax evasion. It's just tax evasion with a super hefty fine and jail time. But if you have an illegal SBR, it's tax evasion. Based.
generating measure in Szynski v. U.S. So to anyone saying that removing suppressors from the NFA is policy and not germane to the reconciliation process, hit them with the facts. If eliminating the tax isn't germane to
Help. He said hit them with... I don't know why. I was sure he was going to say hit them with sticks. Probably don't hit your politicians with sticks. You might go to jail. But I was sure that's what he was going to say. I was confident in my head that he was going to say hit him with sticks. Tristan, hello, welcome.
reconciliation, I certainly don't know what is. Now that the one big beautiful bill is heading to the Senate, we need your help to make sure that your senators know that removing suppressors from the NFA is a top priority for you, their constituents. Visit hearingprotectionact.com. That's hearingprotectionact.com right now to email your senators.
There's a whole
It's simple and easy.
hearingprotectionact.com
It takes about
website.
25 seconds to complete. Every email and every call matters, so make your voice heard today. In the meantime, we will continue to work alongside our partners to ensure that the Senate keeps Section 2 of the Hearing Protection Act in reconciliation. With your help,
Illinois has a bill single subject rule. It's basically ignored, and their courts agreed to not do anything about it because the legislator pinky promised to police themselves. Well, that's exactly the same as not having that rule. Passing a rule that's not followed at all is the same as not having the rule. That's terrible. That's disgusting.
let's get this one big, beautiful bill to President Trump's desk and let's get cans out of the NFA. For now, suppressors are still in the National Firearms Act, so let's talk wait times. According to ATF, for the month of March, E-Form 4s averaged 10 days for individuals and 16 days for trusts. Fast forward to April, and those averages dropped to 9 days for individuals and 10 days for trusts, with a median processing time of just 4 days. As of May 23rd, the median wait time for silencer shop customers is 7 days for individuals and 15 days for trusts. Now, I sincerely hope this is one of the last months we ever have to talk about wait times, because if suppressors are removed from the NFA through the reconciliation, wait times will be a thing of the past. Remember, go to
Then your wait time will just be however long it takes for the 4473 to go through, which would be beautiful. Although, it's still more than it should be.
hearingprotectionact.com to let your elected officials know that you want suppressors removed from the NFA. At the American Suppressor Association, we believe suppressors should be legal in all 50 states. Over the years, we've helped enact dozens of pro-suppressor laws across the country, but we still have more work left to do. This month, pro-suppressor bills were heard in 2 states. In Massachusetts, H-1700 was taken up in the Joint Committee on the Judiciary.
Massachusetts.
Sponsored by Representative Paul Frost, H-1700 seeks to make suppressors legal in the Commonwealth. It was unfortunately tabled for further research and is unlikely to move.
Oh.
And in New York, Senator Robert Ort's S-2099 was heard and defeated in the Environmental Conservation Committee on May 13th. Like Representative Frost's legislation in Massachusetts, S-2099 also sought to legalize suppressors, this time in New York. We applaud these two for fighting on behalf of law-abiding gun owners in their states. And we'll do
Disappointing,
everything we
but
can to help
unsurprising.
make suppressors legal in all 50 states. Right now, we believe the best chance we have to win is through litigation. On April 30th, we saw the first
I think the best chance that there is to win is to absolutely grassroots push it through. Like, you just take the grassroots pro suppressor movement and just force it through with a sledgehammer. Let's be honest. That's how it got through the House. Literally tens of thousands of people calling and letting their representatives know that this is something that they need to do. That's how it got through the House. I think that is the best. That's the best bet we have. A grassroots.
first movement in Anderson v. Raoul that we've seen in quite some time. Unfortunately, things didn't move very far. Anderson v. Raoul is the ASA Foundation and Silencer Shop Back lawsuit challenging Illinois' ban on suppressors. On the 30th, Judge Dugan held a hearing to address the state of Illinois' motion for judgment on the pleadings. He seemed open to our arguments and asked the other side some very tough questions, but at the end, he indicated that it might be quite some time before he issues an opinion. So, we find ourselves in another holding pattern. Here's to hoping
Wait.
things shake loose very
He's just like, I don't feel like doing this right now. It'll be a while before I get around to it. I just don't want to offer an opinion. I don't want to do this today. Come back later. That's crazy.
very soon. Without dollars and cents, the American Suppressor Association would not be able to fight for your suppressor rights. In May, Rugged Suppressors committed $40,000 towards ASA's efforts.
It's a lot of money.
Their contribution directly supports our work on
They can
Capitol
probably
Hill
write that off
to
on their
remove
taxes.
suppressors from the NFA. Michael Derdziak, Henry Graham, and their team understands what's at stake, and they continue to lead by example. With their partnership, we're able to push harder, go further, and stay focused.
Hey, wait, hold on. If I donate money as a streamer, do I get to write it off my taxes? Important questions here. Important questions.
On meaningful policy change. So to Michael, Henry, and everyone at Rugged Suppressors, thank you for your support. We would not be where we are without you. Well, May has been one heck of a month. If you like what we're doing and want to support our work, click the link below or visit us at asamember.com. That's asamember.com to join or donate to ASA today. And remember to contact your legislators at hearingprotectionact.com. That's hearingprotectionact.com. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time.
You're welcome. As always, that's the only one I've watched. Why are my buttons not working? I've got buttons for music navigation, and they don't work sometimes, and I don't like that. They sometimes pretend to follow it. Oh, the Illinois thing? They pretend to. Probably they only pretend to follow it when it benefits, because that's usually how that works. All right, has there been any new firearm news? Banana Glock. What is going on here? Small business spotlight. Banana Glock. It depends. There are different rules for donating to different types of charities. I think political charities have more rules, probably. Weapons of Tunisia. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea where Tunisia is. Where's Tunisia? North Africa. Oh, it's between Algeria and Libya. Okay. There it is. Kind of wedged in between them there. There we go. Look at this guy in Tunisia with his gun. New Corvus AUG trigger with super weird camo. New production M1 Garand. How much do we think those cost, chat? How much do we think new production M1 Garand costs? New B5 folding stock. Another company making another non-buffer tube stock. Very good. Philippines. Oh, the concealed carry purse, chat. The fanny pack of power. A very expensive auto ordnance, definitely. Weekly web deals for May 26th. It's probably specifically Memorial Day. It's over. Memorial Day's over. And so are all the sales. Ooh, a history of the NFA. That could be good. That might make a good that might make a good YouTube cut. Offset. Oh my. Oh. I've seen pictures of this and it looks so stupid. I don't know if it's actually practical. I'm gonna be completely honest. But instead of having the ACOG in the middle and either the offset or the piggyback dot, they've got the offset ACOG. I hate it. I hate it. It looks so dumb. I don't know if it's actually, like, practical. But it looks bad. It looks so stupid. It looks awful. "10 best guns ever. Part 2. Turkish PKM. It's got Lego hands on the bipod. Why does it have Lego hands on it? It's got Lego minifigure hands. So you can grab onto things for ideal bipod stability. Why are we getting all these stupid Turkish shotguns? When they have a PKM. Hello? It's so your PKM can hold Lego guns. Your PKM holding little Star Wars blasters. Be perfect. You might have to upsize your Star Wars little Lego blasters a little bit. Bear Creek 400 Legend uppers. Wow. Another one of these? Another one? Another offset ACOG. On whatever this abomination of a gun is down here. Ew. We got like battle worn, like OD green spray painted gun with more recently spray painted dust cover and furniture, and a gold handguard. Ugh. Ew. Offset ACOG. This makes my skin crawl. I don't like this at all. I don't think there's anything else. Rise of the M60. I don't think there's going to be anything else new. I think we will have seen everything else. DIY counter drone? What is that? Is this like part of a spark plug? What is that? I don't want to know. Yes, I do. Tell me what it is. Anti-drone ammunition. Oh, they're little balls wrapped up in tape? So you can turn your 5.45 or 5.56 into a shotgun? Printed plastic wad that holds buckshot. Huh. Interesting. Why? Well, I guess I know
Look what
why.
we have here.
I know why. It's because drones.
So, one of the hotly requested items on my last video were these Russian ball-bearing heat shrink anti-drone rounds. So, if you've seen the video from the Armorer's Bench, which I will link down... Ooh. So,
Ooh.
if you've seen the video from the Armorer's Bench, which I will link down below, these are manufactured by Russian soldiers. They pull the bullets out of some factory ammo, stuff some BBs or ball bearings inside of heat shrink tubing, and they shove it right back on the cartridge. So that's exactly what I did. Now, they're doing it with 5.45, which I do not own one yet. But I did
Trademark.
have some 5.56 laying around, specifically Tula ammo, 223 Remington. I guess it's not 5.56. I don't care. Anyway, so what I did was I did basically the same thing that they do over there. You can see the process down on the Armorer's Bench video, and that's about it. I didn't reduce the powder charge any like the last 3D printed ones, so these should be a little bit hotter. So,
3D printed.
if you're wondering how I made
223.
these, I used some basic Walmart status Craftsman Copperhead BBs and some of this heat shrink from Harbor Freight. As you can see on the rounds themselves, I used the white as the initial, let's see, there we go. The white as the initial smaller tube, and then covered it with the black one, which is the largest one. The red, you know, I didn't use it at all in this project, but, you know.
Tell me how they work.
And we're going to use my dad's AR pistol because I really don't want to use any of my rifles, so...
we're going to use someone else's gun because I don't want to ruin my guns. Very good.
with this experimental ammo. What'd you say? Nothing. Anyway, let's get this started. Alright, I got one loaded up in the chamber here. I'm going to put it down range at that drone target.
I loaded one,
We're gonna
no
see
mag.
its patterns. I believe this is 10 yards.
It ejected.
Alright, looks like we have a few hits on target. It's a bit tighter than those 3D printed rounds I tried last time. Looks like we have a couple rounds here, and then
One over here.
1, 2, 3.
Is this one right here? It looks like there's one right there.
So that's 5 out of 6. Unless there's a third one in there, I'm not sure where that sixth one went. But that's a lot tighter than the last one. Oh wait, there it is. I didn't see it. So yeah, all 6 are on target, and one actually hit the drone. Very nice. Let's try it at 15 yards now. All right, I got one more loaded up in the chamber. Let's see what this does at 15. Went ahead and zoomed.
I want to know if they actually cycle.
Firing. Let's take a closer look. Well, that was pretty sweet. We got a couple good hits. We got one here up on this rotor. Again, sorry for the wind. One up here on this rotor. And 2 right here. Unless I'm blind, I don't really see any more hits. Oh yeah, there's a couple right there off the target. but that's not bad at all. So these are actually shaping up to be pretty effective. All right, I'm gonna run 3 of these through the chrono.
This is out of
Try 'em semi-automatically.
some length of AR pistol as well.
They seem to feed from the magazine quite well without getting damaged, and the cases are fully ejecting. So let's try this. Firing.
25.
25, 36. 25, 12.
That's surprisingly consistent.
All right, just like last time, we're going to put a couple rounds on this 1x6 here, and we're going to see what kind of damage it does through the wood. So I'm going to stand back about 5 yards, not too far. Firing. All right, we got a nice looking pattern on the wood here, and I'm assuming just like the
That
last ones, they did go through.
performs much better than I thought I
You can see
would.
those nice,
Than I thought
good
it would.
shredded holes here. Don't pay attention to those other little ones; those are from a different project. But yeah, seemed to work great. All right, for our last actual target, we got this nice juicy gallon of water here. We're gonna hit it just to see what happens in case you use these against a soft target. Let's try it out. Splash zone, firing. Yeah, look at the hydrostatic shock on this baby. This is where it went in. Absolutely shredded this jug.
Put it
And
in an
nothing stayed
FRT
in it, so those went
I
clean
want
through. You can
to
actually
know
kinda see an
exactly
exit hole right
how well it fires,
there.
how
Yeah,
well it
that did
feeds,
really well.
how well it cycles.
All right, last thing.
Just dump a
There are
mag.
20 rounds loaded up in the mag, and they're staggered with a drone shot ball, you get the drill.
Oh.
Yeah, 20 rounds. You saw on the Armor's Bench video, that's what they're doing over in Ukraine and Russia. So we're going to see if we can run through all these reliably. We're going to put them on target.
There we go. That's more what I was looking for.
All right, fired.
Malfunction.
Didn't quite cycle. Got a little jam there.
Malfunctioning like every other one. So I think it is malfunctioning.
Seems like these aren't quite super reliable.
Yeah, exactly every other one is malfunctioning. Oh, it got that one.
And that's it.
Well, it had a nice string there at the end.
All right, so that's the carnage from those 20 rounds. Yeah, they didn't seem to be super reliable. It seems like there's not enough back pressure because the drone rounds weigh about 36 grains for the projectile, where the 5.56 is, 55 grain. But yeah, I'm actually quite impressed with these little rounds. They seem to do well. I just have the one left over. So yeah, I think they really innovated something as far as, DIY drone defense over there. But yeah, I
That is
appreciate you guys
interesting.
watching, and make sure to
I don't know
like, subscribe,
how
all that
useful
jazz.
it is
Work
in
out.
the
I'm not
field,
your dad. But yeah,
especially since
See
it
you
makes
next
your
video.
gun not work as well. But it's kind of cool. Kind of neat. Makes me wonder how well they would work if they were actually produced in a factory. Yeah, if you got some tighter tolerances on those, I could actually see those working pretty well. It's not a terrible idea, honestly. All right, new production M1 Garens. I just want to know how much they cost. New production. Because these new guns are true to the originals, they will still need to use ammo appropriate for M1 Garens, such as M2 ball or commercial loadings intended for Garand use. That was my second question. I don't know how I feel about that. If you're gonna make new production ones, why not make it so they can also take modern ammo? Right? Am I crazy thinking that they should have done that? It's possible. Wasn't it April 1st? May 28th. If this is an April Fool's joke, then they missed it by like almost 2 full months. So I don't think this should be an April Fool's joke. MSRP for 30-06 and 308 be $1,900 plus $40. 19? You can correct me if I'm wrong, but you can get actual surplus ones for cheaper than that still, right? I feel like you can still find surplus M1 Garens for 16, 17. 100, obviously. Not $16 or $17. I haven't looked in a while, but huh? Pre-order is available now by filling out this online form. Well, that doesn't seem like an April Fool's joke. It seems like a legitimate form. Them boomers know what they got, Sonny. M1 Garand. $52. Well, let's filter buy now. Okay, well, there's some people on here at like $5,000, $6,000, and that is clearly some I know what I got prices. Yeah, there's one for $1,300. IH M1 Garand. 1,800. CMP M1 Garand. 1,800. 1,500. Oh, that one is a little sporterized. Yes, this one's... Oh, this one is basically like exactly the same price as the new production ones. A CMP. So, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of people selling them for I know what I got prices, for sure. But there's definitely also people who aren't completely out of their minds selling them for much less. And I'm gonna be honest, without looking at this super closely, if I'm gonna get an old style rifle, I think I would rather have the one with a few nicks and dings on it that looks old. Civilian marksmanship program produces new, inherently inaccurate rifle design. Well, cool, I guess. They really should be getting really good ARs to the masses for cheap. Maybe. But PSA and High Point seem like they've got that covered. Yeah, there's quite a few on Gunbroker. Quite a few M1 Garens with buy it now prices for $1,500 to $1,800. Obviously, there's also the I know what I got people that are at $4,000 to $5,000 for God knows why. But that definitely does not seem. Oh, it does not seem like it justifies $1,900 for a new production when you can't even run current production modern ammo through it. Like if they made these and like, yes, and you can shoot modern ammo through it, I'd be like, okay, maybe. But why? PSA is great for good enough guns. CMP should be providing match grade barrels. Maybe, but CMP's customer base is FUDs. And so why would they change something? They'd upset the FUDs. $1911s and M1 Garens. Oh, it's I guess okay, cool. Put more M1 Garens on the market. I'm not opposed to it. I definitely will not be buying one. But if someone out there wants to for some reason, I don't know. I guess you can buy your new production M1 Garand that can't run current production ammo through it because why? I don't know. I don't know. CMP is a weird place. What is the most modern gun that the CMP sells? Sales. M1 Garand, Krag Jorgensen, Enfield, M1903, M1 Carbine, air rifles, 22 surplus. And none of those are modern guns. Those are all not particularly accurate guns, except maybe like 22s. They do have some 22s on there. Oh, chat. The T-Sauce. CMP. The price is going to be raising from $479 to $499. Due to tariffs. Why? Buy normal TSOS for 300? That's what I'm thinking. Like, TSOS literally makes the same thing. Like, the only difference is it's not going to have the CMP logo on it. Hold on. Hang on. Let's see. TSOS. I need this SKU. I need this SKU. Well, MSRP. MSRP for the TSOS 1911 A1 US Army. $439. MSRP. How much are they? Street price. Street price. Like 400? Out of stock. Out of stock everywhere. Yeah, 430. 420. $299 from Sportsman's. $299 in stock. So yeah, who said $300? Ferocious? Yeah, literally you can get exactly this gun except without the CMP imprint for $200 less. Oh. Ferocious. People think I'm nuts when I say I'm not a big fan of CMP. Yeah, this... why? Why this one in particular? Like, maybe some of the other things. Maybe the CMP, like, back in its heyday. What is this nonsense? And you're raising the price? Raising the price? Like, I can go buy this for $300. And but then I have to pay $200 more starting June 1st. So you've got like 2 days, chat. You've got 2 days before the price increase. And you got to submit all the CMP paperwork. To be fair, what are they supposed to do when they aren't getting surplus M16 and such to sell? I mean, yeah. Like, it's not like the government doesn't have just warehouses full of guns that they're not using. Which, as far as I know, and this could be wrong, is what the CMP is for. Right? That's one of their big deals, is just like selling civilians the old military guns. Like, even like, obviously, a lot of the guns that the government has sitting in warehouses are going to have the giggle switch, right? The third position. So just, like, take that out. Take that out. That'd be easy to do. People would definitely still buy them. People would pay a premium for them, even. Yeah, there would be people. Delete NFA and GCA, yes. Remove the NFA so the CMP can sell the stuff that they're supposed to sell. Instead of imported Turkish 1911s. Letting boomer scalpers buy 12 rifles a year. Yeah, that also didn't help. And you can find them on Gunbroker. Because there'll be like the same person or the same shop with a whole bunch of I know what I got CMP Garens up on Gunbroker. I'm be honest, I'm kind of tempted. I'm kind of tempted to buy the $300 TSOS 1911 A1 US Army for $300 just to spite the CMP and their $500 1911. I'm not going to, but I'm a little tempted. Abolish the NFA. And so the CMP can sell me a third position M16, please. The CMP's purpose is literally to foster civilian marksmanship skills and get the general population familiar with using military's current service rifle, so they are ready to use them in case of war. Yeah. Like, from what I know, from my limited exposure to the CMP, is the CMP was designed to, yes, get the general population familiar with marksmanship, and then also to sell off the government's just old stuff they have sitting in warehouses. Just to make a little money, right? Or maybe not make money, but not lose as much money as just sitting in a warehouse. Like, those are the two purposes of the CMP. And currently the CMP is doing neither of those. Thanks, NFA. And politicians. Disappointing. Disappointing. Dismantle the NFA so that we don't have to dissolve the CMP. Because they're being useless right now. But speaking of the NFA, chat, The History of the NFA, A Timeline by Daniel Y. Why no last name? Why only initial? Daniel Y. The National Firearms Act of 1934 is one of the best known American gun laws. It sets a limit on some of the most interesting kinds of firearms, like machine guns, Reader's Edition, suppressors, and short-barreled firearms, and destructive devices. Let's take a trip through the history of this law and where it may be headed. Kinda yes, kinda no. They started trying to convert M14s to semi to sell long before they were even widespread in service. Well, as soon as the CMP starts offering a civilian, is it the M18? Is that the designation for the new SIG one? As soon as the CMP starts offering the new SIG in civilian versions, then I'm interested. Criminals like John Dillinger and Pretty Boy Floyd used automatic firearms in their crime sprees. Local police were outgunned, and there was legislative interest in controlling access to the types of guns popular with these criminals. 1934, the NFA takes effect. The National Firearms Act is passed and becomes law. It includes 5 classifications for restricted firearms: short-barreled shotguns, shoulder-fired smooth-bore guns with barrels less than 18 inches, short-barreled rifles, shoulder-fired rifled guns with barrels less than 18 inches, machine guns capable of firing multiple rounds with a single function of the trigger. Oh, they got the correct wording right. Single function of the trigger. A lot of people say single pull of the trigger, and that's incorrect. It's single function of the trigger. It's super nitpicky, but it's important. Silencer, any device that reduces the sound of a gunshot. Any other weapon, guns that do not fit the other categories. ATF repeatedly messed up their civilian M14 plans because NFA. And leave it to the ATF to ruin everything. It's good to know they have a long history of that. These weapons all required a $200 tax stamp. At the time, this law was enforced by the Treasury because it's a tax scheme. That $200 stamp was a major cost barrier, as that would be $4,800 when corrected to $2,025. Any other weapons, like the Ithaca Auto and Burglar, were seen as more legitimate and only had a $5 tax stamp for transfers. I wonder what that $5... What is the $5? $5 corrected for inflation. $5 corrected for inflation is approximately $120. Approximately $120 for the $5 transfer, which is much less than $4,800. Still nothing to sneeze at, though. You may notice that short barrel rifles were those with barrels shorter than 18 inches. That's not a typo. That's correct. Currently, it's 16, not the 18 that they just said. 1936, a slight tweak to the NFA. The 18-inch barrel limit for short-barreled rifles gained an exception for .22 rifles, which could have a 16-inch barrel without requiring registration. Many youth model rimfires had barrels shorter than 18 inches, but were also not being used in many crimes. The 18-inch minimum remained in place for centerfire rifles, though. For now. Or for then. 1968, the Gun Control Act. Rest in peace. One little known part of the Gun Control Act was changing the limit for all short-barreled rifles from 18 inches down to 16 inches. Several factors played into this. One is that many lever-action rifles had 16-inch barrels, particularly among trapper and saddle rifles. But the major impetus was the M1 carbine. These guns, with 16.25-inch barrels, were sold in large numbers to NRA members. In the 60s, back when the NRA was actually not just a bunch of old men collecting money from other old men. These guns, with 16.25-inch barrels, were sold in large numbers to NRA members. 240,000 M1 carbines were sold in 1963 through the program for only $20 each. Chad, I was born too late. $20 each. While these sales obviously had government approval because they went from US Army stockpiles to the NRA membership, each of those guns was technically an SBR, though they were not registered as such. The 1968 GCA fixed that situation. Man, I wish I was alive back when the NFA just wasn't being enforced. Back when lever actions and M1 carbines were for sale and you could just go buy them and they were like, oops, sorry about the illegal SBRs, you're good, we'll just change the law. If someone did that now, they'd spend the rest of their life in prison. (1986) Firearm Owners Protection Act. The FOPA. The FOPA? I don't like that. The FOPA added various legal protections for gun owners, including the right to drive through states with more restrictive gun laws, so long as they did not stay there longer than necessary. The FOPA also added language that made silencer parts. The FOPA also added language that made silencer parts subject to NFA. But the main change was the ban on registering new machine guns for transfer to civilians. Those automatic firearms, already registered prior to May 1986, could still be kept or transferred to other civilians, but no more could be registered. So keep in mind, prior to 1986, civilians could buy, purchase, sell newly manufactured machine guns, though they were still subject to NFA requirements. You could. And I would be very interested to see the violent crime rates in 1985 compared to today. Or even compared to right afterwards. See if it actually made any difference at all. I doubt it, but I have not looked. This has led to massive increases in machine gun prices over the years. Just check out these charts of how prices have changed. Dang it, they're gonna make me go check these charts. Hold on. Oh my goodness. Holy charts. That's a lot of charts. Max charts. Sure, Mac 10. Mac 10 chart. Oh no. Why is this window not changeable in size? Why? Hello? Oh, I can only change it from that corner. Interesting. That is Mac 10s, keep in mind. Keep in mind Mac 10s. Absolute dirt cheapest of guns. Disgustingly cheap and gross. And back here, they're sitting at like, I don't know, like 1,500 on the low end. Probably like 2,000 mid. Whereas nowadays they're getting up to $17,000. That's crazy. Actual insanity. Keep in mind, these guns suck. These are awful. Absolute garbage. Cheaply manufactured. Not fun to use. For that much money. Gross. Even the Mac 10, long known for being cheap machine gun, is now selling on average for more than $13,000. Of course, this price inflation has not impacted guns sold to military or law enforcement. And 0702 dealers can make their own machine guns, though they still cannot sell them to customers. 2016 ATF Rule 41F. This rule is most remembered for the way it changed owning NFA items through trust. 41F requires all responsible persons, generally the trustees of the trust, to file fingerprints and passport photos for a background check. This led to more paperwork when buying NFA items, but still kept the benefits of having multiple trustees have access to NFA items. The fingerprints and photos for the NFA paperwork is so annoying. It's so annoying. Like when you just read it on paper, it honestly doesn't sound like is that like way terrible. But in practice, it's a chore. Now Mac upper and printed lower plus AR force reset trigger looks much more attractive. It's true. It's true. You can get a Mac upper and even if you don't print your own lower, you can get like an AR fire control group lower for a Mac and put an FRT in it for a fraction of the cost of an actual Mac. It's crazy. One other change made by Rule 41F was around notification to local chief law enforcement officer. Prior to 41F, individual purchasers had to obtain permission from chief law enforcement officer, sheriff, or chief of police where they lived. This rule changed from affirmative permission to simple notification, but also applied to NFA items owned by trusts, not just individuals. This helped buyers in cities and counties where law enforcement would not previously authorize any NFA transfers. 2017 Hearing Protection Act. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to present. The Hearing Protection Act was an effort to remove silencers from the NFA entirely. It ultimately failed to pass. It has been reintroduced several times, but met the same fate each time. The HPA would remove silencers entirely from the NFA. That's what we're working on now. We're talking number. Oh, you're going to Rule 63 me? You're going to Rule 63 me right now. right now, in the middle of a video, I'm a cut down for YouTube. Unbelievable. 2025 Big Beautiful Bill. I like the alliteration. I'll keep my opinions on the rest of the bill to myself. The most recent big news in the NFA world is the current Big Beautiful Bill. Along with all sorts of other provisions, this bill also includes 2 provisions that touch on the NFA. This bill has gone through several iterations, but as of the writing of this piece, it includes a version of the Hearing Protection Act, as well as a tax change. The Hearing Protection Act provisions would entirely remove silencers from the NFA. How silencers would be regulated, if this were to pass, would depend on individual state laws. In most states, how they would be regulated is just as a standard firearm, if the Hearing Protection Act goes through as it's currently written. Then suppressors would be regulated as a standard firearm. You just have to do the 4473 background check that you have to do for like literally any firearm. Which, in my opinion, is still more than you should have to do for something that's only an attachment for a gun, not a gun itself. But it is a significant improvement. Another provision in the bill would drop the tax stamp amount from $200 to 0. All other NFA protections would remain in place, and the other tax stamps would stay at the current amounts. Putting both of these changes into the bill is not necessarily conflict, and in the sausage making of a bill becoming law, one portion could be dropped without losing all progress on silencers. But that would make me very upset. Remove the whole NFA would be best, like our founding fathers intended. I definitely don't disagree. But I think that's a ways out. Conclusion. The Big Beautiful Bill still has to move through the Senate before it becomes law. Much like a jury trial, anything is possible while a bill file is in play. And no one should count their legislative chickens until they have hatched. Oh, legislative chickens? What a wonderful name for our representatives. But if either of these changes to silencer regulation actually makes it through, expect to see a major run on silencers and everything to be out of stock. We'll be monitoring the bill's progress and bringing you guys the latest. I mean, yeah, there will be a major run on silencers. Absolutely. Run on silencers. There also will be a huge uptick in homemade silencers and a lot of new companies starting manufacture of silencers, because suppressors are very easy to make. It's literally a tube with a couple things in it. And that's not an oversimplification. Like, for most of the history of suppressors, a suppressor was literally a tube with a couple washers welded into it. And that was your suppressor. Like, you can literally make a suppressor from parts that you can buy at the hardware store for like $25. Or you could just 3D print them, which is very possible and has been done. Yeah, so I don't know. Call your Congress people, call your senators, tell them to support this, because that's, let's be honest, the absolute sledgehammer of the grassroots movement is how the Hearing Protection Act got into, or got through, the House of Representatives. Because literally tens of thousands of people called. So call your senators, call the majority leaders, tell them to support this, tell them to back this. Because otherwise it's not going to happen. Politicians aren't going to do anything unless they're forced to. So you got to force them to. Thank you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Call your politicians. If it does end up with the zero tax still in the NFA, it'll be interesting to see how the tax evasion cases shake out in the courts for the non-tax. That will be interesting. Because it is true that not registering an NFA item is tax evasion, because the NFA is a tax scheme. It literally went over that at the beginning. Like, it was designed as a tax enforced by the Treasury. Like, NFA is a tax. And so how do you tax evade a $0 tax? Interesting. It'd be interesting to see how those legal battles panned out. I am not going to test those waters. But I guarantee that the gun rights litigation people absolutely will. GOA, FPC, all those guys. They'll be all over that. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out, should it go that direction. Again, hopefully, suppressors are removed completely. Even more hopefully, although it is a long shot, I will admit, hopefully short-barreled firearms are removed as well. Because there's some push for that. Honestly, it seems a little bit of a long shot. That does not mean that I'm not going to mention it when contacting my senators. Because if you give up before it has a chance to take off, then you end up like Silencer Central. And we don't want that. I was planning on calling my senators today, but then today was very busy, and so I didn't get to it. Hopefully, I should be able to tomorrow. Call the politicians. It should be good. It should be good. I have many things to say on my like minute and 30-second phone call, where someone says, "Hello, how can I help you?" And then you just like ramble at them for a little bit, and they're like, "Okay, thank you, I'll pass on your word." And so phone calls, emails, pester them on social media. I am from Texas, so I've got who are my senators? Cruz and Cornyn. Corn? I don't know how to pronounce his last name. John Cornyn. John Corn. Those are my senators from Texas. I've already been pestering them a little bit on social media. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. I've made the mistake of becoming invested in dismantling the NFA instead of just being black-pilled / uncaring. about the NFA. It's very annoying. It's very annoying. It's much easier to literally not care at all. But here we are, having to care. How dare I? How dare I let that happen? All right, chat. I'll be honest. The stream today's been a little short, but I am very tired. And also don't know what else to talk about. Those are both important factors here. So, so with both of those factors being taken into consideration. Wait. Hold on. Wait, hold on. I've been clickbaited by a news video. And now we have to watch it. Gun buybacks, chat. Texas lawmakers pass bill banning gun buyback programs.
Preventing cities or counties from having a gun buyback program could soon be headed to the governor's desk.
Democrats say it's another example of state Republicans limiting what local officials can do. Fox 4's Stephen Dial in studio with more on what comes next. Stephen.
I have not heard of this one. Fox Dallas Fort Worth. I've not heard of this.
There was some lengthy debate about this. Law enforcement agencies have used these events so people can safely get rid of unwanted or unsecured firearms in their homes. Democrats who voted against the bill.
And people can do that even without gun buybacks. And people can still get rid of firearms in their home. Like, you can take firearms to the police to turn them in. That has always been an option. Banning gun buybacks would not stop that.
Argue that this is the state blocking local governments from making their own decisions.
House Bill 3035 sparked a lengthy debate Monday in the Texas Senate. The bill bans local governments from operating gun buyback.
Oh, this poor shotgun has lived a hard life.
Programs.
Across the country, we've seen a growing trend of government-sponsored efforts to diminish civilian firearm ownership under the guise of crime reduction.
State Senator Bob Hall, who represents eastern parts of North Texas, is who pushed the bill on the Senate side. He argued...
Then you don't get a $5 gift card? I wish it was only $5. Because then it would be easier to buy guns off people at gun buybacks. Unfortunately, they're offering people like $100, $200 for their throwaway guns.
Buyback programs are a waste of tax dollars. Only a few North Texas law enforcement agencies have gun buyback programs. A popular one last year was one that NBA Hall of Famer Shaquille O'Neal sponsored for the Dallas.
Oh, that's a nice revolver. Too bad it got destroyed, chat. Rip, big rip. Majestic Potato give $20 for the beater double barrel, hang it on the wall. They probably gave that guy like $150 for it.
County Sheriff's Office. Shaq put up the money for gift cards given to those who turned guns in. Dallas County Senator Royce West called the bill government overreach.
For some strange reason, you don't think that they have the common sense to decide whether or not a gun buyback program in their community would be a wise program for their community.
It has nothing to do with good sense. It has everything to do with the wise use of the money.
And there are quite a few places that ban the destruction of guns in government inventories statewide. Gun buybacks are technically fine, but they have to be auctioned off and not destroyed in those places. Interesting.
And the proper role of government.
In 2021, a study with the National Bureau of Economic Research looked at
That's a Sharps rifle. Oh my goodness. Just stuffed into this barrel of guns. Oh. Gun buybacks incentivize theft. They do. Because gun buybacks are like no questions asked deals. I wonder if you report a stolen gun to the police, like they take down that serial number.
Operator Grizz _VT just traded with 12 viewers.
Operator Grizz. Hello, welcome, and hello, Raiders. How is it going? Welcome. Hello. Currently we're talking about gun buybacks. But hello, welcome, Raiders. For those who don't know me, hello, I'm the X-Count. We do lots of just chatting and lots of gun things here. So if you like that kind of stuff, hello, this might be a good place for you. A Huaman? No. Well, kind of right now. Chat did this. It's their fault. I've been Rule 63'd. You got kidnapped. It's okay. If you got kidnapped and brought here, then it's okay. And you should just accept it. We've drawn the concept AKS-74U crank on CSP program to send to Mossy for new model. New model, let's go. New model with AKS-74U. Very nice. You were talking about number rules? Number rules? Oh. the ATF was like, what was it, like rule like 41F or something? And then chat rule 63'd. It's unbelievable. Is that a Calico? We do have a Calico. This is a modern, current production Calico. So, for those who don't know, Calico still exists and is still making guns. And you can order a new production Calico. And honestly, they're pretty good prices. Where else can you get a factory SBR PCC for $1,000? That's pretty good. Roller delayed as well, by the way. These are roller delayed. Very similar to an MP5, except it might not work as well. Disclaimer. It might not work quite as well as an MP5. Still no Rule 34 redeem. There is no Rule 34 redeem. This is true. This is the wrong website for a Rule 34 redeem. Thought they went out of business in the 90s. So they didn't sell very well. Okay, hold on. Hold on. We get into Calico history. So Calico in the 90s, they didn't really go out of business. I mean, they kind of went out of business, but more they went into hibernation because the assault weapons ban banned high capacity magazines, which is kind of Calico's big selling point. Got the standard capacity 50 on the pistol, standard capacity 100 on the rifle, which is very unfortunate for Calico, since their big selling point on their guns was outlawed. But after the assault weapons ban sunset, they came back. And they've been around since then. And people just don't know. People just don't know. But they're around. They are still making guns. They are in fact still releasing new products, chat. Do you want perhaps a Calico Mac conversion kit? Or maybe a Calico Gatling gun? Technically it stopped doing business instead of went out of business? Yeah. Yeah, what Not the Batfa said. And so Calico is still out here and still doing things. They're just being quiet about it. Only count stream when? No. Well, I guess is every stream that's not a collab an only count stream? Right now, you're watching an only count stream. Or an only countess stream at the moment. I wonder if the Mac upper can be FRT'd. It can at least go on a transferable Mac lower. Because there's videos of it. So I would imagine that it can be FRT'd if you do it correctly. Calico is just like Keltec's cousin, snorting Colombian snow and designing a gun. Yes, yeah, kind of true. Although, so Calico, obviously, there are two staples, are their 9mm platform and the 22 platform, which are two platforms. They are different platforms, although they look similar. The 22 is a direct blowback, and from everything I've seen, is more reliable than the 9mm, which is roller delayed. So if you want a reliable Calico, get the 22. It's not roller delayed, but you still get 100 rounds of 22. Which is neat. It's not very often that the 22 version of a gun is more reliable than the not 22 version of a gun. Calico's just doing all kinds of crazy things. Yeah, so, Raiders, before the raid, we were talking about, apparently, I learned like just a few minutes ago that apparently Texas is passing a law to ban gun buybacks, which is pretty cool. Good for Texas. And somebody put a Sharps in this barrel of guns, which makes me cry a little bit because those are really expensive.
That if gun buyback programs reduce crime. The study looked at 335 buyback events in 277 cities over a 24-year span. The author of the study said buybacks have done...
Is that a Lorson? Nice.
Little to reduce gun crime or firearm-related violence. Senator Hall also thinks buybacks don't work, but he focused his argument on the financial aspect of the situation.
Now, I think what this bill is doing is serving the people of Texas by making sure that money is not wasted on things that are ineffective.
It's true. Gun buybacks, a huge waste of money. Although, you do, unfortunately... This is a very small, unfortunately. Let's clarify that. You miss out on the chance to go to the gun buyback and buy guns off of people in line for the buyback. And that part's a little sad. But I could deal with losing out on that opportunity. I think the reason the 9mm version doesn't work so well is because they don't crank the magazine correctly. So I guarantee I crank this correctly. I'm pretty good at cranking this, chat. And it still doesn't work very well sometimes, particularly with 115 grain ammo. If you use heavier ammo, it does work a lot better. Cranking, yeah, we're cranking our Calicos, chat. Cranking our magazines. How is Count supposed to fund streams without bringing a trunk full of printed guns to buybacks periodically? Exactly. What do you think the 3D printer's for? Besides making little knickknacks, like this death whistle. That's mostly what it's for, I'm gonna be honest. X good at cranking, noted. Yeah, you have to count how many times you crank it, and then you start firing off. And then you're good. That's how you crank it.
You don't want to go there.
Senator Royce West was saying you don't want to go there because in Democrats' eyes, some things that have been passed from both chambers are interesting spending. A third vote is needed before it goes to Governor Abbott's desk. It's likely that it will go to the governor's desk. It's unclear what Governor Abbott's stance is on this topic.
Well, I don't know. It'd be interesting for them to ban that. Now YouTubers would have to go into other states to go to gun buybacks. Oof, we can't sell pipes at Texas gun buybacks and farm gift cards from them? Apparently not. Apparently not anymore. Well, it hasn't passed yet. It's still going through the Texas legislature. These kits are for open bolt, full and semi-auto max only. No slow fire. Based. Based. Open bolt and full auto only. No slow fire. That's hilarious. Well, you might have to make your own 3D printed lower for that one then. But I want closed bolt fast fire. Maybe you should send him an email.
Deploying reinforcements.
Mart 0507 just followed.
Mart 0507. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. What's happening at 5:07 in the morning? Mart's happening. Mart's happening at 5:07 in the morning. Oh, someone. Oh no, this is not gun related, chat. Not gun related, but someone mentioned it earlier. The Texas law banning anime. Do we want to watch a video on that? I doubt that it actually bans anime. Just because of how news and videos clickbait everything. I severely doubt that it bans anime. They're against VTubers. Good. VTubers are cringe. Oh, is there a short video on it? I don't want to watch like a 20-minute video on this thing. Texas Senate Bill 20. All right, there we go.
Well, Texas lawmakers are
2 minutes. I can watch a 2-minute video on something not about guns. That's about my attention span for something that's not gun related.
Well, Texas lawmakers are pushing a new bill that could impact artists and anime fans. The goal is to crack down on obscene images involving minors, even if those images are drawn or generated by artificial intelligence.
So it's an anti-AI art bill?
This is Senate Bill 20, and Rochelle Turner is live in our newsroom right now to break it all down, sort of why they're concerned with these things and what this bill would do if passed. Good morning, Rochelle.
Amy, good morning to you. Under this proposed law, if any image appears to show someone under 18 in a sexual way, it could be illegal. Now, supporters, including Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, says this bill is about protecting children.
Okay, I guess it is. This lady said any depiction. The last lady said AI. We had ads. Oh. Not the ads. Hold on. Hold on. It's in spicy depiction, not just overall. Yeah. That does beg to question what exactly is going to be the definition of
says this bill is about protecting children and the
whatever they said.
Governor Dan Patrick says this bill is about protecting children in a sexual way. It could be illegal.
A sexual way. What is the definition of in a sexual way? The First Lady said including generated AI. Maybe. Probably. They want to ban Sheena. Rip. Rip. Hello, Matilda. Welcome. Yeah, so this in a sexual way is incredibly vague. So like, is this like if there's like some, I don't know, like romance anime that happens in a high school and there's like a whoops, there's a panty shot. Because, let's be honest, I'm not a huge fan of it, but it is a staple in anime. Like, is that depicted in a sexual way? Or is this like nudity? Or what are we talking about here? Knowing Texas lawmakers, any depiction of a woman younger than 60 wearing anything less than a burqa will be banned. So the problem is that the wording that they've said so far, at least, obviously I haven't read the bill because I'm not a nerd. I am. I have read bills before. The wording that they've said so far is like unenforceable. Is a swimsuit / beach episode now considered sexual to ban under this new Texas bill? I don't know. It seems like it's worded so vaguely that literally no one can possibly know.
Now, supporters, including Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, says this bill is about protecting children in the digital age, but the anime community is concerned, saying the bill's broad language could put innocent art and artists in legal jeopardy. Now,
that is my concern as well, that the language is too broad and either will be absolutely misused or will be unenforceable, or both.
Now, the bill, it has already passed out of the Texas Senate Criminal Justice Committee and now heads to the House, where lawmakers...
Okay, this bill also has not passed yet. This bill has not passed yet. Unlike all of the clickbait things would have you believe, this bill's not passed yet. As of 2 months ago. Okay, it may have passed yet. 2 months ago it hadn't passed. Please don't let the broadness of the bill be as wide as Cali.
All the waifu references just rated with 5 viewers.
All the waifu references. Hello. Hello, welcome. And welcome, Raiders. Hello, hello. Welcome. I guess, hello. Hello, I'm the X-Count. VTuber, obviously. We talk about guns here. Although currently we are not talking about guns. We're doing a rare not talking about guns segment. But we're talking about whatever this Texas bill is that's banning anime, apparently, according to all the clickbait. But hello, welcome. Last seen playing Factorio. That game, from what I've seen, I've not played it, is either super satisfying or the worst thing ever. We're talking about lollies. It doesn't say lollies in the bill, chat. It says underage. Characters that appear to be underage. Which does stand to question. Would that mean that a lewd depiction of Rias Gremory, even though she is underage, would be more acceptable than a lewd drawing of Senko, who is very much older than underage, since it is based on appearance only. Interesting. Interesting. Welcome, Raiders. Appears to be underage. Does that mean that the 900-year-old lolly-looking character is now bannable? The vagueness of this bill seems like nearly unenforceable. Banned and banned. Next question. Elia from Fate. Rip, gone. Who knows? Who knows?
Could propose their own version. Our Real One Belogan spoke to business owners who support protecting children, but worry the bill's vague language could
I guess Texas doesn't have anything else more important to do. Oh, trust me. Trust me, they do. They don't care, though. They're doing politician things.
Target art that isn't meant to be obscene. Some business owners say they're already hearing from out-of-state artists who are concerned about doing business in Texas. Critics argue the bill doesn't define obscene clearly enough, opening the door for art to be misinterpreted.
It doesn't define obscene or appears to be underage or anything like that. Like, this is literally like if a Reddit commenter was writing a bill. Like, that's what this bill seems to be. Just like it's someone like being mad. So if you watch stuff like Emo, you could go to jail. I don't know that one off the top of my head. Also, does it actually exclude depictions of IRL adult actors that look too young? No, it's just art. It's just art. Just drawn and animated depictions. It will likely get challenged, overturned on First Amendment grounds. Oh yeah, I expect it to. Because it's unenforceable. Photos are depictions, but they're not drawn or animated.
Interpreted.
So I believe this bill is a good thing. I believe this bill is a good thing to protect, and also is a protection against people who use free AI tools readily available on the internet to generate deep fakes or materials that are harmful or that.
See, okay, that's different. That's different. If you're using AI to literally make child pornography, that's not okay. That clearly should be illegal. But that's not what the wording in this bill says. It's about AI. That's what they're trying to make it sound. That's what they're trying to say that it's about. But they don't specify that it's about AI. They're like, oh yeah, and AI. That's one way to draw / depict these characters.
Can be interpreted harmful. And so this is a good way of protecting that. And it's also, it includes children who use this against their peers.
Artists and anime fans.
Is it different? Is it gross? But there also isn't any victim? We're getting into some slippery territory there. It is true. It is true that if it is a drawn or even AI generated piece of art, there is no active victim. You're correct.
And say they'll be watching closely to see how far this bill goes. Amy?
Yeah, I bet they will. And if it passes, what kinds of penalties could people face? I imagine that's written into the bill.
Yeah, and these are really, really strict penalties. So anyone who possesses, shares, or creates these images could face criminal charges. The first offense could result in state jail, and people who repeat these crimes could face up to 20 years behind bars.
Oh, wow. It'll be interesting to follow this one through the legislature.
Hey, let's go. Chat, 20 years in jail. 20 years in jail. For gooning to lollies. Chat, you're only allowed to goon to mature, large-breasted anime women. Flat is justice is over. Texas outlawed it. If you deepfake a real person's face into an image, then there is a victim, but fictional characters aren't real. That's true. Yes. If you're deepfaking children into AI not safe for work things, yes, you should be in prison. Absolutely. Gooners in shambles. I bet you think there's no victim when you murder someone in COD, you disgusting monster. Texas, with the influx of MILF hag content. Luckily, everyone is really liking hags at the moment. Hags are in right now, chat. Everyone loves a hag. Matilda, boyfriend walked in on me declaring Shagoon to big boobs. Well, you heard it here. The VTuber on the internet said you had to. Can't imagine AI here in 10 years. Yeah, AI, with how many people I see falling for just horrible, like, AI fakes now. When it improves even a little bit, it's over for us. It's over. Is that Ballistol over? Yeah, we've got Ballistol over here. It's a snack. You gotta have snacks with you, chat. Drez, you hate AI? I think that there are reasonable uses for AI. I do think that they are much fewer and far between than people are using AI for. Is it stainless pistol, chamber 30 carbine? Yeah, okay. A couple of people asked about this. This is an auto mag. It is not the 30 carbine version though. So this is the auto mag 2 in 22 Magnum. So this is the poor man's auto mag because I can't afford the one in 30 carbine or 44 AMP, so I have to settle for that one. The boring? Okay, it's not boring. It's not boring. It's just a poor man's version. It's still cool. G3 Matt, like the odor of I read color, like the odor of Hoppy's number 9. Hoppy's number 9 does smell much better. This one, Ballistol, however, is not toxic, so it'll give you cancer slower than Hoppy's. My bad, the Cope version. Maybe. It might be the Cope Auto Mag. What's the bullpup? This is a Keltec RDB with the tactical rail. What about Lucas CLP? I hate CLP. CLP is gross. I don't like it. It smells bad. And it leaves like a weird texture on your fingers after you're using it. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's gross. Keltec, how's the trigger? This is the best bullpup trigger of all the bullpups I have. Disregarding the Boberg. The Boberg has a nicer trigger. In terms of smoothness, at least. The Keltec bullpup triggers, probably the nicest factory bullpup trigger. Obviously, there are aftermarket triggers you can get for like the AUG, Tavor, that make them pretty good. But how's the trigger on the Calico? Awful. It's disgusting. It's so it's bad. The Calico trigger. Here we are empty. See? Empty. So wait. Zoom. So it's heavy and it's squishy and it's kind of hard to tell exactly when it's going to break. It doesn't have a clear wall. It just kind of squishes all the way through and then it breaks. The reset is long, kind of crunchy, and then you go again. It's not the worst trigger ever. It's better than a Nagant revolver. It's better than the HK VP70. It's probably kind of like an AK trigger if it was heavier. Making a bullpup trigger good isn't hard. Militaries just wanted bad triggers. At the time, most bullpups were designed. And you don't want those triggers to be too light. You don't want those untrained conscripts just accidentally firing off rounds willy-nilly. Mart, I do like the RD. I like that the RDB doesn't spit brass in your face for left shooter. Yeah, the downward ejection in the RDB, big fan. It does make the recoil impulse feel strange though. Because the bolt, instead of just having to travel to the back of the magazine to eject and grab the new round, it has to travel effectively like twice as far. So to way back here, so it can dump the brass out the bottom and then come forward, pick up the round, and then move forward again. Or I guess keep moving forward. So the recoil impulse on the RDB does feel strange. It's different than if you're used to shooting ARs or AKs or something. Do I have a Jericho like gotcha? I have one Jericho. I have the polymer frame Jericho because it was very cheap when I bought it. G3 Matt, you're not a fan of the VP70? What, the VP70? This gun is amazing. You have to, when you're considering this gun, compare it to other guns of its time. 1970. If you take other guns around 1970, this gun is very good. A big part of that is the 18-round magazine. In 1970, I will admit there are things about this that are not ideal, such as your like shotgun style crossbolt safety. And trigger pull is very long, pretty heavy. You do have a clear wall there. They are obviously still empty. You have a clear wall there and a obvious break. But for the 70s, 18 rounds, very good. Gotta compare it to polymer frame guns of the time, such as, yeah, that's a pretty inclusive list you got there of all the polymer frame guns of the time. The pistol of Leon Kennedy from the hit game Resident Evil 2. What gun did he use in Resident Evil 2? Was it not an M9? Oh, he did use a VP70. He used the VP70M, though, according to IMFDB. And that is the burst fire version. And mine, unfortunately, is not the burst fire version. Because I have not won the lottery. M for Leon. Or M for Leon. Player had the high power. Apparently there's also a Calico in that game. I've not played that one. What guns do they have in the game? According to IMFDB. HK VP70M, high power, Calico 950, Desert Eagle, Single Action Army, Beretta 92 FS, HK MP5A3, Mac 11, Remington 870, Remington 1100, and then larger guns. Thought the Calico was in Code Veronica? Oh, IMFDB says that it's in Resident Evil 2, so... Glock Roomba. Hello. What the count be up to? Oh, we're just sitting here chatting about nonsense now. Man, I can't believe the Glock Roomba showed up after I got my first Glock. All these years, I've been Glockless. And I get my first Glock, and then Glock Roomba shows up. I no longer have my badge of pride of not owning a Glock. So this is my one Glock. It's long. And it's almost as perfect as my not Glock. That is even longer. Just put that over there. It can peek on the edge there. Glock. Yes, we've got some very large pistols. Well, we have very long and very small pistols only. No in between. No medium-sized pistols. Medium-sized pistols are not allowed here. Only ridiculously small and ridiculously long. Your Glock purchase brought the Glock Roomba. Like saying Candyman 3 times. Hope I don't know what that means. What is Candyman? This is probably some horror movie reference that I don't understand because I don't watch movies or know any of the horror genre.
Deploying reinforcements. Glock Roomba _ just followed.
Glock Roomba! Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Welcome. How's it going? Yes, you're part of the team now. Thanks for the welcome. You're stuck here now. Do I have any normal sized pistols like within reach? Oh, that was normal sized. High power. That's a normal sized pistol. It's the only one. It gets a pass because it's case hardened and shiny. Saying Candyman 3 times in front of a mirror would bring the Candyman? Does he give you candy? I'm not like a huge fan of candy, but like if it's free, you know, maybe he's got some of the good candies. Like some extra dark chocolate with like some raspberry filling. That's the good candy. This nice color case hardened finish is the Eels hips. Eels hips, the goat's pajamas. All the wife references. Good night. Speaking of goats, good night. All the wife references. I do think, unfortunately, it's almost 1:30 in the morning. Eel sips, you're trying to bring it back. Good luck. I wish you all the best. The Candyman, Samuel Hyde himself. That's pretty scary. That's pretty scary. Have you seen how much stuff Sam Hyde has done? That's terrifying. Terrifying. All right, chat. I do think that unfortunately, we're gonna have to be ending stream here pretty quickly, pretty soon. Not like horribly quickly. It's not like I have somewhere to be besides bed. Edward Snowden would beg to differ. Can I say Candyman and summon Snowden? And he just keeps getting away with it. Sam Hyde does just keep getting away with it. It's impressive how much he gets away with it. Glock room, good night from across the pond. Which pond? Which pond? Probably Europe. He was the ghost of Kiev. And there's probably a list out there of all the things that Sam Hyde has been credited with. There definitely is a list out there of all the things he's been credited with. And it is undoubtedly extensive. Alright, chat. We are going to raid out, though, because I do actually need a good night's sleep. Which, we'll see if that happens. It is already 1:30 in the morning. Kinda away from Europe. Iceland. The UK somewhere, almost definitely. Have a good rest. Yes. So thank you for stopping by today. Thank you for the raids, the follows, the love today. I will be back. What day is it today? I'll be back tomorrow. I'm back tomorrow. I don't know what we're gonna do tomorrow. I'll think of some conversation topics to at least give some semblance of structure. We'll see how that goes. So thank you for following. I appreciate you all very much. We have raid messages, both for those with and without a subscription. So grab whichever raid message is your favorite. Thank you for stopping by today. I appreciate you all very much, and I will